Hey gamers, Foxires here, bringing you a guide on the top multiplayer Quest 2 games that are motion moderate or intense. A lot of players are affected by motion sickness in VR, so these games may not be for everyone. And this is part of a comprehensive multiplayer guide, which is linked here. So if you're looking for the top motion-friendly games, be sure to check out the full guide, or the motion-friendly video. And so number 5, I would say Battle Sisters. So this is from the Warhammer 40k universe. So if you are a Warhammer 40k fan, this is definitely a title that you want to pick up. Again, unfortunately for me, the movement in the game, I just wasn't able to play it very well. Number 4, Death Horizon. So this is one of the games that, again, multiplayer, you can go in with a friend. This is a zombie, but kind of like a futuristic space zombie kind of a shooter in a way. So there's kind of advanced technology, and it's got a very futuristic sci-fi feel to it. And so you are working together with your friend to, make your way through this labyrinth of zombies. It's a lot of fun because the zombies can sneak up on you from different directions. And so if you're also a fan of like horror games or, kinds of scare games, you'll definitely get that vibe. I would highly recommend this game for that. The one thing I will say about Death Horizon is it's got a bit of that clunky interface, clunky gameplay to it, so it's not that easy on the motion side of it as well for those reasons. Number 3, Population 1. Of course, this is definitely one of the most popular VR titles at the moment. It's like Fortnite for VR, and so if you're familiar with gaming, you know how popular Fortnite is, and so imagine just taking Fortnite into VR, and that is what Population 1 is, and that's why it's so popular and so successful in VR. It is far too motion intense for me. I can play 1-2 matches at most before having to just take the headset off and sit down for a good while. It is a lot of fun for what it is. One of the things I would also say is it's definitely got a learning curve. If you go in there and you're not of the mindset to be patient and learn how to play the game, you will just, most people are going to go in there and they're just going to get stomped the first several games that they play. And so I would definitely recommend having a good look at some strategy guides for this game if you pick it up, to help you with that learning curve a bit, so that you spend less time just getting stomped. So you come in kind of like as a gliding paratrooper kind of a way over the city. You choose, how you want to glide down, where you want to glide down. So there are strategic points tied with that, as well as, item drops and all kinds of things that come into it as you kind of imagine from these survivor kinds of games. Number 2, Larcenauts. So this is a new one, and it's kind of like Team Fortress 2 for VR. So again, another really popular 2D game, Team Fortress 2. It made perfect sense that somebody made a flavor of that for VR. And so it's going to be really incredibly popular, I think, as well. So Larcenauts, I would say one of the things to keep in mind about Larcenauts is they've got to do a fair bit of work about class balance. Class balance has been an issue in the game. A lot of players have complained about it. They've made some steps to try to work on that a bit, and so hopefully, it'll be one of those things that can really take off as they address things like class balance, as they address things like having access to the various different heroes. So they had also changed it for a bit. So initially, they had different classes open, etc. But then there was an update, and then it was much more expensive to be able to unlock some of the heroes. And so there was huge kind of a backlash against you know, that decision. And so that's something they've been trying to walk back from a bit. So the game's definitely got some issues to work out, but in terms of, you know, a Team Fortress kind of a heroes game. Each hero's got, you know, a little bit different of flavor, a different play style. You're familiar with Team Fortress 2. Larcenauts, again, is definitely the one and only title right now available for Quest 2 that you could pick up. And so I would recommend picking it up for that. And number one, Echo VR. This is kind of a classic. This is, you know, zero G competitive gaming. If you've ever read the sci-fi novel or seen the movie adaptation for Ender's Game, yeah, you can kind of imagine this as Ender's Game for VR. You're going in there having these competitive zero G kinds of games. And of course, I have to mention as a bonus the military sims. There's a lot of people that love military sims like Call of Duty, etc. And so I couldn't just not mention that there are some military sims for VR. One of the most popular ones probably is Onward. I tried Onward very early on, I think back when it was still in beta and back on the old Rift, so before the Quest, the Rift. And I have to say, again, I just couldn't play this game because of the movement issues. I appreciate that a military sim needs to do smooth movement, or feels like it needs to do smooth movement for the kind of realistic immersion side of it and for the player versus player side of it, given the kind of game that it is. But because of that choice, it just means it's a game that I can't really play. And so it was bad for me from a motion sickness standpoint. But Onward, being a military sim, a lot of people really love those. You know, the different types of realistic model weapons, the different kinds of tactics that you can have on different maps to try to, you know, eliminate the enemy team. And so, yeah, Onward also had some issues early on about really clunky, jerky gameplay and interface. I mean, some of the things back when I tested it in the beta, they were just broken. Like the tutorial. The tutorial itself was just broken. It didn't work, and then you were just trapped in the tutorial and couldn't get out. And so I'm sure they fixed that since, so it probably won't be an issue. That's kind of one of the things that you'll run into if you play some of the betas for these games. It's just there's a lot that still hasn't quite been worked out. So military sim, because of the smooth movement, no teleport movement, just not for me, but definitely worth mentioning for those of you who love military sims and those of you who are not bothered by motion sickness. And there's a couple of other titles similar to it, similar to Onward, that are also military sims. There's one, I think it's called Contractors, and there's a couple of them out now. There's a few military sims, so have a look at that if you like them, and yeah, enjoy playing those. The other one that I wanted to mention for a bonus game is Swords of Gargantua. And so Swords of Gargantua, I wanted to mention because it's kind of different than other VR games that I've seen. Imagine that you're going into like a giant tower of just dungeon levels. And so you work your way up the tower to harder and harder levels of difficulty. And so this is something that you can do with friends. It is a game that when I was playing it was completely melee. They were planning on introducing a ranged class. I'm actually not sure if they have introduced a ranged class, because this is one of those that, again, having no teleport movement, only smooth movement was available. I couldn't play it for very long without feeling unwell. But so it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like a Japanese kind of feudalistic atmosphere, kind of a themed game in terms of the kinds of weapons, in terms of the kinds of monsters. And so it's a lot of fun in that regard. You're kind of like samurai going in to fight as a team to work your way up this dungeon tower. And as you do, you collect new gear on each dungeon run to level up your character, to upgrade your character. And so it was kind of fun in that regard too, as kind of an RPG, you know, the choice of weapon style and the choice of upgrades that you go for. Yeah, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, like, subscribe. Would love to hear more from you. Thanks. As always, thanks for watching, gamers. I'm Foxfires, and this has been a fun holiday guide for Quest 2 multiplayer VR gaming.